A massive winter storm has basically brought America's entire travel network to a grinding halt. It's a full-blown crisis, and it's left thousands of people stranded. So today, we're going to break down exactly what's going on, why it got this bad, and, what the path back to normal actually looks like.
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the sheer scale of the flight mess before we unpack the reasons behind this, perfect storm. Then, we'll get into the government's response, share some crucial advice for anyone who's stuck, and finally, we'll look at the timeline for getting everything moving again.
First up, let's really get a handle on the staggering numbers behind this nationwide travel shutdown. It's pretty wild.
Okay, get this. On just one single day, a jaw-dropping 11,000 flights were just canceled. I mean, think about that. That's thousands and thousands of plans, holidays, family visits, business trips, all just thrown out the window in a matter of hours.
And it didn't stop with cancellations. Oh no. If your flight wasn't one of the 11,000 that got axed, you still had a really good chance of being stuck. Another 17,000 flights were delayed, which just added to the absolute chaos at airports all across the country.
Now, to really put this into perspective, you have to go all the way back to the very, very beginning of the COVID pandemic to find a day with this many cancellations. So yeah, we're talking about a truly historic level of disruption here. So the big question is, how on earth did we get here? It's really easy to just point a finger at the snow, but the reality is way more complicated. This is a cascade of problems all hitting at the exact same time. This really lays it out perfectly. It's a total domino effect. Of course, the winter storm was the trigger, but it almost immediately created huge staffing problems. You've got pilots, air traffic controllers, and other essential crew who just couldn't get to work safely. And all of that combined created this enormous 3-day backlog of passengers that the system is now just struggling to handle.
And this isn't a problem that's just going to melt away with the snow. The lingering cold is a huge factor. Down in the south and southwest, the ice isn't expected to let up until the middle of the week. But up in the Midwest and the North, those frigid temperatures could stick around until the end of the week, which makes it so much harder to get airports and roads fully back up and running.
All right, let's shift gears and look at how the Department of Transportation is trying to manage this unprecedented challenge. I mean, you have tens of thousands of people stuck in airport terminals. They're frustrated. They just want to get home. So what's the one thing, the single guiding principle behind every decision being made right now?
And the answer really boils down to one word: safety. The official line is crystal clear. They would much rather you be delayed or even have your flight canceled than put you on a plane that isn't 100% secure, period.
And that commitment to safety isn't just talk. It has very specific, non-negotiable requirements. It means making absolutely sure runways are clear. It means having enough controllers in the tower to manage all the traffic. And it means having the right equipment and enough staff to de-ice every single plane before it even thinks about taking off. No compromises.
Okay, so for anyone who's actually caught in the middle of this travel nightmare right now, here is the direct advice from officials on what you should be doing.
So, a huge concern right now is airlines jacking up prices for the few flights that are available. Now, the Department of Transportation can't legally set ticket prices, but their advice is basically to vote with your wallet. Pay close attention to which airlines are treating you fairly in this mess, and remember that next time you book a flight.
Now, if you're thinking, forget flying, I'll just drive, the message is be extremely careful. We're talking 17 states with lane closures or reduced speed limits. Key states like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Connecticut have even shut down roads completely to commercial trucks. The bottom line is pretty simple. If you don't absolutely have to be on the road, just stay home. And this right here is probably the most important tool for anyone even considering getting in their car. Before you do anything else, go to highways.dot.gov. It's got real-time road conditions for every state, so you can make a smart and, more importantly, a safe decision.
So after all this madness, what does the road to recovery actually look like? When do things get back to normal?
Well, recovery isn't going to be like flipping a switch. The target date officials are aiming for is Wednesday to get back to something like normal operations. But, and this is a big but, even then, because the system has to absorb days of stranded passengers, you should expect flights to be way more crowded than usual for at least the next week or so.
Amidst all the frustration, it's really worth taking a second to think about who's out there working to fix all this. As the Transportation Secretary said, the people in those plow trucks are the unsung heroes.
They're the ones who step up when everyone else steps back. We're talking about them and also linemen dealing with like 500 pounds of ice on a single power line, all working around the clock to get the country moving again.
Ultimately, an event like this is a massive stress test for our entire country's infrastructure, and it really forces us to ask a tough but super important question. As these big storms get more and more frequent, what do we need to do right now to build a travel system that can actually handle the storms of tomorrow?